Of all those subsidies entering at different stages of the biofuels industry, the most important ones, the quantitatively most relevant ones, and also the most distorting ones, are those subsidies going to production, going to levels of production. Domestic production receives many different sorts of support. One way of supporting domestic production is border protection. And then, as you can read there, but I'm already running short on time, there are many other. I want to draw your attention on, again, in this commentary, government policies supporting and protecting domestic production of biofuels, which is very important because I was showing you biofuels are still very expensive. So unless government support is provided, there will be no one ready to produce these biofuels, are inefficient, cost-effective, and contribute to creating a structural imbalance between demand and supply. These subsidies should change, should be redirected towards research and development on second-generation biofuels technology, which are less environmentally damaging. Quickly, through international markets. Here we can say two things. Most biofuels are essentially domestic, are still essentially a domestic business. Each country tends to produce its own biofuels. Only 10% of the world's fuel ethanol consumption is internationally traded, and a number of barriers to trade, both tariff and non-tariff, remain in this production. Policy implication. Here we've got four things to say. First of all, impact on agricultural markets. It is important to stress that the initial and fundamental motivation for supporting biofuels was not energy security, it was not climate change, but was support to stimulate new demand for crops in order to raise agricultural prices. So it was a part of agricultural policy, not of energy policy. Then, as far as energy policy is concerned, the idea that domestic biofuels production will reduce a country's dependence on foreign sources of energy and the renewable energy appeal will increase the political popularity of biofuels. But this is currently being questioned, because to a certain extent biofuels are renewable and non-renewable at the same time, and there's a lot of uncertainty about displacement factor, which means about the amount of oil which is necessary to produce biofuels. Quickly through environmental policy and transport policies, again, questions, pros and cons. There are lots of pros and cons, so the balance is not entirely clear. And finally, let us conclude. Let's work for a conclusion. As I was telling you at the start, biofuels could theoretically achieve a market share of 20% of the liquid fuels market in 2015, 50 years from now, 40 years from now. However, recent OECD calculations suggest us a much lower threshold. Again, 13% against the current 1%, which means that there's an interesting growth potential in this industry, which justifies why huge resources are present pouring into this industry. High fuel prices and generous regulatory support and government support have given the industry healthy margins, even emissions. Last and final slide. Of course, against this criticism, we can say that as long as oil prices stay at the present level, do not fall back, biofuels will continue to be regarded as a very viable alternative to fossil fuels. Renewable energy appeal, energy security and climate change concerns, possibilities that commodity prices fall back, and of course, lobbying power of producers are in the same direction, act in the same direction. Downside risk for this market, rising commodity prices, lack of technological breakthroughs, contrary lobbying power, swinging government and public opinion pose downside risks of this industry. So pros and cons are mirrored by these two parties confronting each other. Those in favour, those against. Those in favour have got arguments, and those against haven't got convincing arguments. What is my opinion, and final opinion about this thing? That biofuels are likely to remain a useful niche for the time being, for the foreseeable future energy sources. They're not going to really substitute fossil fuel to any meaningful extent. Ideally, they should be produced where it is less costly and environmentally damaging to do so, and internationally traded on a reasonable free basis. So those tariffs that prevent that forced production there is not competitive, so should be probably torn down. Certification, control by national authorities, and of course, research and development on second generation biofuels should also be strongly encouraged.